Göbekli Tepe, Turkey, 9500 BC. It rises out of the dry hills of southeastern Turkey like a message from another world. Massive stone circles, perfectly carved pillars, animals etched into limestone with unnatural skill. But the real shock? It's 11,000 years old. Thousands of years before farming, thousands of years before cities, and thousands of years before humans were even supposed to know how to build something like this. The people who created Göbekli Tepe were supposed to be simple hunter-gatherers, yet they carved pillars that weighed as much as a truck. They planned massive ceremonial sites, and they shaped the land itself. Archaeologists still can't explain how. And then, without warning, the builders buried it all under tons of dirt, on purpose. Not to hide it, but to seal it, as if they knew their world was ending. The Jomon culture, Japan, 14,000 BC to 300 BC. The Jomon didn't just exist early. They existed way too early for the technologies they used. They created pottery older than almost anything else on Earth. They carved strange figurines, called dugus. Some of them look almost futuristic, with goggles, armor, and even jointed limbs. But the real mystery? The Jomon lasted over 10,000 years, longer than almost any civilization in human history, and they stayed surprisingly stable, peaceful, isolated, and skilled. No empire, no war machine, just a long, mysterious culture that quietly mastered the arts the rest of the world wouldn't discover for millennia. And then, they disappeared. No collapse, no invasion, just gone. Dui, China, 1600 BC. The masks are the first thing you notice. Giant bronze faces with huge eyes and long ears. Nothing like traditional Chinese art. They were discovered by accident. A farmer struck a pit full of broken artifacts, and it opened a doorway into a civilization China forgot it even had. Dui built bronze on a scale so advanced it looked modern. They mastered metalwork nobody else in Asia was using at the time, and their artistic style feels alien, even today. Then, around 1100 BC, their city was abandoned. Some believe an earthquake diverted the river and forced them out. Others believe something else happened. Something sudden, and something they didn't survive. The Norte Chico, Peru, 3000 BC. Before the Inca, before the Maya, before almost any civilization in the Americas, there were the Norte Chico. They built pyramids without metal tools. They designed cities connected by roads. They developed complex fabrics and ceremonial centers. But they had no ceramics, no murals, and no weapons. It's like they skipped war entirely and went straight to city building. And then, after flourishing for thousands of years, they faded, swallowed by newer cultures, and leaving behind ruins that suggest a civilization so early and advanced, it resets the timeline of the Americas. The Cucuteni Tripelia, Eastern Europe, 5500 to 2700 BC. Imagine a society with this: large planned cities, beautiful ceramic art, advanced farming, and a smooth social structure. Then imagine they did something no other civilization did. Every few generations, they burned their entire city to the ground, on purpose. It wasn't an accident, it wasn't from war, but it was part of some sort of ritual cycle. Then, they rebuilt everything from scratch. Why? Nobody knows. Some see it as renewal. Others think it was a spiritual cleansing. And a few believe it was symbolic, a reminder that nothing is permanent. Whatever the reason, the cycle continued for centuries, until the culture vanished for reasons still unknown. The Olmecs, Mexico, 1600 BC. The Olmecs are known for one thing: their colossal stone heads. Each weighs up to 40 tons, each is carved perfectly, and each carries a unique face like a portrait carved into basalt. They had writing, complex religion, and long-distance trade, but we still don't know their real name. Olmec is a label given later, and one day, for reasons still unclear, the Olmec cities emptied, and the jungle swallowed everything. The Indus Valley Civilization, Pakistan and India, 3300 to 1300 BC. This civilization shouldn't exist, well, at least not at the time that it did. They built grid-planned cities, had indoor plumbing, had public baths, and they mass-produced bricks with perfect measurements. But there's still one detail that sets them apart. No kings, no palaces, and no armies, at least none that we've found. A civilization with millions of people, advanced engineering, and no clear ruler? That's just not rare, it's almost impossible. And yet, they existed and thrived. Then the climate change dried the rivers, and their world unraveled quietly. No war, no invasion, just a slow, miserable extinction. Nabta Playa, Egypt, 6000 BC, before Stonehenge and before the pyramids. Nomads in southern Egypt built stone circles aligned with the stars. Some of the alignments are so precise they match astronomical patterns from 7,000 years ago. These people were not supposed to have this knowledge. They weren't farmers or city builders yet. They were pastoral nomads living in a region that would soon become desert, but they understood the sky in ways that feel advanced even now. And when the climate shifted, they left. Their stones remained, a message from a civilization we still barely understand. Aksum, Ethiopia, 100 AD to 900 AD. Aksum was one of the great powers of the ancient world. Its kings appeared on Roman trade maps, its writing system was unique, and its architecture stood out across all of Africa. But the strangest claim? Aksum's church leaders believed they guard a relic, the Ark of the Covenant. Whether true or not, Aksum wielded influence far beyond its borders. Then drought, trade collapse, and shifting power systems crushed the empire. Today, its monuments remain, silent reminders of a civilization that once rivaled Rome. The Minoans, Crete, 3500 to 1100 BC. They built palaces with hundreds of rooms, had plumbing, vivid art, and traded across the Mediterranean, and then they vanished almost instantly. Volcanic eruptions, tidal waves, and earthquakes may have all played a part. But there's a darker possibility. A neighboring power saw them at the moment of weakness and struck. The Minoans were wiped from history so cleanly that even their language remains undeciphered. The Natufians, Middle East, 12,500 BC. Before farming existed, the Natufians settled down. They built homes and stored grain, and created cemeteries. They were sedentary before sedentary life. Then, for reasons unclear, they vanished, just as agriculture was beginning. It's almost like they were the rehearsal before the real performance of human civilization. The Philistines, 1200 to 600 BC. Known mostly from the biblical stories, the Philistines were far more complex than legend suggests. They had advanced poetry and unique architecture. It was a blend of Aegean cultural traits. Their origins are a mystery, and yet their disappearance even stranger. We know that Assyria crushed their cities and the culture dissolved. But their DNA and artifacts show a civilization far richer than the myths we inherit. The Hittites, Turkey, 1700 to 1200 BC. The Hittites once challenged Egypt for control of the ancient world. They mastered iron early, built powerful armies, and wrote thousands of clay tablets. Then, during the late Bronze Age collapse, their empire crumbled almost overnight. Not slowly, and not gradually, but almost instantly. Their capital was abandoned, their language nearly died, and their people scattered. For centuries, the Hittites were considered fictional, until recently archaeologists dug up entire cities. The Lycians, Turkey, 1400 to 500 BC. They carved massive tombs into sheer cliffs, shaped like wooden houses trapped in stone. Their language is still partially understood, and their origins are debated. The disappearance is quiet and unresolved, but their cemeteries survive, and entire cities of the dead cut into the mountains. The Guanches, Canary Islands, unknown, 1400s. When the Europeans reached the Canary Islands, they found tall, light-skinned people living in isolation, with no boats capable of ocean travel. How did they get there, and when did they arrive? Their mummies suggest a complex cultural rivals of Egypt. Their language vanished after Spanish conquest. Their origins remain one of history's strangest puzzles.